Hi, it's Gina DePrima, and you're listening to Divorce with Heart. We merge heart wisdom and legal expertise to guide you along your divorce and co-parenting journey. Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's another awesome Monday. And here we are. It's, episode 4 on Inflow Radio. And today we are going to be talking all about forgiveness and how I see forgiveness as the key, really, the key to your freedom, the key to that life that you envision at the other side of your heartache. That's really forgiveness. And that's what we're going to talk about today here on episode 4. We're going to dive into what I think it means. We're going to look at some quick and easy practices that you can implement in your own life. And hopefully we'll be able to take some calls, see what's happening for you, and we'll go from there. So let's dive right in on forgiveness today. Forgiveness to me, as I started to say, is really a key to freedom. I think forgiveness is a relief or a release. I think forgiveness is an antidote. It's the key to the kingdom. It's the key to unlock your heart cell. And you know what? It's the door to your future. Because if you think about it, without forgiveness, life hurts, right? Without forgiveness, life hurts. Your heart hurts. And when your heart hurts and you're in pain, what happens? You're putting out a lot of anger, maybe disgrace, distrust, frustration, spite, all of these behaviors and actions that kind of stem from what I'm going to call more like dark emotions or these, bad feelings. I don't like to really use the terms good or bad because I feel like I'm being judgy of your experience, but you know what I mean? It's the stuff that we experience and feel where we can ourselves, I guess, judge it as just not feeling good. And when you're not feeling good, that's kind of, what your behavior is going to show up as in the world. Okay. So forgiveness as a release or a relief. What I mean is you need forgiveness on every level. Forgiveness is something that you need physically, you need it on a spiritual level, an emotional level, an energetic level, and a mental level, because it's all of these things. It affects all of these things, and it affects you on all of these different levels. And if you don't have forgiveness or the release or the relief of any of this negativity in you, then you're blocking yourself from that freedom that you so deserve. So you've really got to put every part of you into this idea or this concept that I think sometimes we just take for granted and more often completely misunderstand. But you've really got to put your whole self into it. And when I say that, we misunderstand it, I think a lot of times when we think about forgiveness, we think about it like, oh, we're just saying that, the perpetrator, that whatever the perpetrator did to us is okay. It's no problem, and sometimes that might lend to feelings of like a doormat. And you might feel like, well, I can't forgive because that's like I'm condoning the actions and I'm just letting somebody walk all over me. The truth is that's not what forgiveness is. That's really not what forgiveness is at all. Forgiveness is something that you do for yourself. You do it for yourself first and foremost before anyone else, because it's about you and it's about how you feel and it's about your personal freedom. And it's about you making choices from that empowered place of, what do I want to experience in life? And if you walk around without forgiveness, you're essentially keeping yourself linked forevermore to that perpetrator. And in some sense, you're giving up all of the power for you to really, elevate yourself out of that feeling. It's like you're kind of waiting for that person to apologize, right? And so you're going to keep on being angry or hold on to the pain and not have forgiveness because you're waiting. And in that wait, you're tied, and you're tied to the old story. You're tied to the dark emotions. You're tied to that negativity, and it'll affect you. And it'll affect you on a physical level. So let's start there on the physical level. When you don't have forgiveness in your heart, you're going to notice it in the form of feeling tense, feeling tight, having stress in your muscles, tightness maybe in your jaw. You might see more skin irritations, rashes, things like that. Maybe you're not sleeping. Maybe you're losing weight drastically, gaining weight drastically. It's having a physical impact on your physical being. And the reason is because without forgiveness, it's basically like you've, just drinking the potion. You've just put all of this poison inside of your body. And when you have this poison of anger, hurt feelings, frustration, or hatred, or, whatever it is that might be coming up for you, when you have that poison just coursing through your veins, right? It's going to affect you, and it's going to affect you physically, and you're going to carry that with you. Well, to get it out of your physical body, you need to be physical. So when I say, forgiveness is something that encompasses all of these things, the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the energetic, you've got to attack it, or you've got to not attack it. That's probably not the right word. You need to implement it or integrate it into every part of you. So to do it on the physical level, I suggest you get moving. Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Go do something physical. Go out for a run. Go for a jog. I know I've said this a few times before on different episodes, but it's so important to get your body moving because exercise is going to release all those good feeling endorphins or hormones into your body, and it's going to start to elevate you physically. You're also going to start to, I would guess, pick up on a story. I know this is what happens to me. You're going to pick up on a story. Some kind of story is going to unfold for you, especially if you go into it with this being an intention. Your intention being to forgive. Something's going to come to mind. A person's going to come to mind. Their wrongdoings, the circumstance, the situation. It's going to bubble up to the surface. And when it does, here that this is the place that you've got to work with it. This is the place where, I guess it's settling into your body. I think best example I can give you is I tend to carry a lot of stress and I have tense muscles all up in my shoulders and my upper back. And, sometimes when I get down and I get physical, I'll do some yoga or even I'll just push on these pressure points. And if I have it in my mind first, this intention of kind of discovering what is the root of this physical pain that I'm feeling, what is this that's lodged in my back, so to speak, a story comes up for me. And that's really what I'm talking about here. A story comes up for me. And once I get that story, I then try to take a different perspective, a perspective kind of outside of myself to see if maybe I can view the experience differently, because viewing the experience differently is, for me, essential to finding forgiveness, because it allows me to have compassion and to see what maybe was there all along, but I missed it. And I missed it because I was too caught up at the time of, playing out life or playing out the scene or reacting with the person kind of on this autopilot where I'm just doing, based on the expectations and experiences of the past, right? So you miss it. You miss what's there. Okay. Now, of course, you don't need to have forgiveness. Forgiveness is a choice. You don't need it. You're not going to, it's not a live or die kind of thing. You're going to keep on living. You're going to have your life if you don't have forgiveness. It's a choice. But when you think about it, it's a choice that impacts your quality of life, right? It's a quality of life issue. It's not something you need, like where a diabetic may need insulin, all right? But it's something that you could definitely use to help you and to help improve your life. Because with forgiveness, that's where life's richness, lies. That's where the beauty is, if you can get there, all right? And you're going to have more experiences that will show you a better quality of life, a more enhanced life. So it's a choice that you can make. And I suggest that you start with your physical body. Okay. And when you go in and you're taking that jog, or maybe you want to do yoga, like I said, you're going to have the intention of finding the source of this anger or this hurt so that you can begin to release it from your physical body. So go into the story, go into, full on victim mode if it helps you to bring it up. I'm talking here about the story that you tell your girlfriend and your friends, and you call your lawyer on. The stories about how he cheated on you, how he was never faithful, how he never came home on time, how she was never there for you, how she never listened to you, how she wouldn't give you the time of day, how she was always out with her friends. I'm talking about all of those promises not kept, right? All of those letdowns that you've been experiencing, all of those stories that are just renting all of this space in your head. And as I'm suggesting to you, they're not just there. It's like poison coursing through your veins, affecting you on every level. So it's those stories that you've got to get at and get at the root of, okay? So when you find the forgiveness of the perpetrator, you can finally break the tie with that person or that event or that circumstance, and you can free yourself and you can let it go so you can have a better experience. You've also got to get into the spiritual, emotional, energetic level. And the reason why is because if you don't, then the flip side of forgiveness, or not having this forgiveness, it's going to be fleeting. You want it to be something that really sticks with you and stays with you for as long as possible. And you want it to stick with you to the degree that it becomes part of you. So then it's part of your actions and your behavior and everything you do. And then in that way, you're also modeling something for your children to look up to and to aspire to and to, learn from. And it's so important because it's essential to every part of life. In every part of life, relationships, work, school, not even necessarily intimate relationships, but in every part of life, all of us, each and every one of us runs up against an experience that doesn't meet our expectation, causes us some anger, causes us some frustration, causes us to be stressed out, and therefore requiring forgiveness in order to elevate from that place. And if you don't integrate this idea of forgiveness into every part of you, what you're doing is you're kind of leaving these seeds that were there, that grew, you're kind of just like leaving them behind. So then they can just grow and bloom all over again, and you may not ever notice it, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of our choices and our actions and our behavior and our feelings, so much of it we just do on this sort of autopilot unconscious kind of level. So that's why you've really got to integrate it fully into you. I say you've got to feel the forgiveness, grow the forgiveness, and then you need to really emanate that from your heart. And the only way to do that is practice. Practice daily at every opportunity. I mean, this is something that takes work. This is not a one and done kind of thing, right? You have to constantly work on forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others. And then when you emanate it, how do you do that? You do that by your actions. You do that by acts of kindness, generosity. You know, in a co-parenting relationship, maybe that shows up as flexibility. It shows up as the voluntarily reaching out to your co-parent with information, maybe about, for an example, Johnny's spring recital, even though it's not on his or her day, stuff like that. It opens the door to more information sharing. That's the action that I'm talking about. Generous flexibility, cooperative communication. All of that can happen if you start to practice forgiveness. And then when I say emanate it, like bring it out into the world with you in your actions that you do. And you see, you can't do that if you're all stuck and angry. So that's why you've really got to get into it, and you've got to find forgiveness in every part of you. Okay. Then mentally, you've got to find forgiveness on a mental level. And I think this is the part that's probably the easiest for most of us to understand, because I'm talking about our thoughts. And a lot of us, I think, live in our heads and live in our thoughts and keep on rehearsing that story and replaying it over and over again, the wrongdoing, what the perpetrator did, how could they have done it, that kind of a thing, right? These thoughts, they just run rampant in our minds. And when that happens, they take over and they control us. And realize it or not, they do, and they're controlling us over our heart's direction, we'll say, right? So it's sort of like being completely out of control, because we're out of control and being guided only by these thoughts, these thought processes that are completely and totally wrapped up in this anger, frustration, hatred, the victim type role, okay, that results when you don't have forgiveness. And then, it's not too hard to see what happens when you have all of these thoughts. I'm going to call them these nasty thoughts. What happens? They drive you to act in ways that you may not actually be proud of at the end of the day. You may actually have some regrets. Or maybe you don't, because you're proud of yourself and you feel like, I got some revenge here, look what I did. But really, you're just hurting yourself. So these are the nasty thoughts that drive us to act in ways that create more harm, take steps for the purpose of revenge. These are the thoughts that drive us into greed, retribution, selfishness, punishment, blame that we talked about last week. That's what I'm talking about. They're not thoughts that drive loving, generous, caring, or compassionate action, right? They're not thoughts that forge flexibility in that parenting relationship. Open communication, free communication. It's not it. What happens when you're stuck on these nasty thoughts, right? You're more likely to deny the other parent access when they request, not because there's anything going on, not because there's any plans, but why? Because you're just angry. Just because you're angry and because, damn it, they don't deserve it, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right here. So you can see how these thoughts can get in the way and direct our actions, our choices, and our behaviors. So ask yourself, where are you acting from? Are you acting from a place of forgiveness, or are you acting from a place of anger, wanting revenge, retribution, that kind of a thing? Because if you're not acting from a place of forgiveness, then you've got some work to do. Okay? If you're acting from that place of darkness, again, you may think that it's the right action to take because you're going to punish, your former partner. But it's not. It's really not. You're punishing yourself because, again, you're keeping yourself tied to that old story and that old energy and that old negativity, and you're just going to keep on recycling it over and over and over again. And when you do that, you're not elevating yourself. You're not elevating your family. You're not growing. You're just repeating the past over and over into the present and into the future. And that's why you broke up in the first place, right? So think about it. I say that forgiveness is an antidote because, again, I see the flip side of forgiveness as this poison just coursing through your blood and your veins. So forgiveness is this antidote, okay? It's the only thing you can do to get rid of the poison, this poison that's just lurking underneath everything, or lies underneath everything you do, okay? It's influencing your choices, influencing your thoughts, influencing your feelings, right? It's influencing how you feel physically, all right? You've got to get rid of that. And if you don't think it's there, think about it. Think about the tension that you may feel every time the phone rings and it's your ex-spouse on the phone. And you might kind of get a little cringy. I guess that's the new word that kids are using these days. Cringy. Ooh, right? Cringy. When that phone rings and it's the ex on the phone. Or you might get a little cringy or tense up every time you go to drop your children off or pick them up or meet them somewhere. Or even when you just think about that parenting schedule. Or upcoming events, right? That's what I'm talking about. This tension that you're carrying with you, or how about this one, this grudge that you might have against the new girlfriend, boyfriend, step-parent, right? Even though they might be a beautiful person, or maybe you don't even know, but you just don't like them anyways, right? That is a reflection of the anger you're carrying. The anger that's like this Loch Ness monster that's going beneath the surface of everything in your life, all of your experiences. It's lurking around every corner, affecting everything that you do. It's affecting your vibe, right? So what happens? It's there. It's always there, like it or not. You can deny it, but it's there. And your kids, I guarantee you, are picking up on it because kids feel everything, I think. They're like little sponges. So it doesn't even necessarily matter what you say. If you're carrying around sort of these dark feelings and this tension and this anger with you, your kids are going to know it. They're going to pick up on it. They're going to feel it. They're going to know, even when it's hiding behind this kind of fake smile you do at the drop off, or this fake wave, or maybe it's the silent treatment you do. They know, and they're going to feel it. Right? Or how about when your child comes home and, they're so excited to tell you about something that happened at dad's house or, at mom's house, and, you're kind of pretending you're excited with them because you want to support them, but you're really not. That kind of feigned excitement, kind of like maybe your child comes home and they're super excited because they get to go to Disney and they're so excited. They're going to go to Disney with dad and dad's new wife and the baby. And, you want to be excited. You want to be excited because Disney's fun and your child's so happy and ecstatic and looking forward to it. But you carry with you this underlying, right? This cringiness, this anger, this tension. Because what? Because maybe Maybe Disney's the place that you always wanted to go to as a family. Maybe that was the plan. And it brings it up again. How you were wronged, how you were hurt, how it's not fair. Right? That's what I'm talking about. So that's why you've got to have forgiveness. Forgiveness is the antidote to get rid of these things. Forgiveness is what you need for yourself, for your children, for everybody around you, really, including myself. And I'll get to that. Because when you don't have it, you're not just affecting you, which I think, is pretty clear now. I hope it's pretty clear now. Okay. And you're not just affecting your kids. I mean, although you are definitely affecting them, they're going to feel divided. They're going to feel pressured. They're going to feel insecure. All of that, they're just not going to feel safe to know that they can love you and love their other parent equally. So of course you're going to affect them. You're going to affect your ex if you don't have forgiveness, because I guarantee you that anger or that tension that you're feeling, I guarantee you that despite your best efforts, it is going to seep into your communications. I almost said all of your communications, and that wouldn't be fair. Maybe it's not going to seep into all of your communications, but I guarantee you it is going to be there. It is definitely going to be seeping into your communications, even if it's just through email or text. And you know how that is already. It's hard to really read where a person's coming from. Well, guess what? You might read something that is otherwise supposed to be innocuous, but because of the way you're feeling, you're going to read it in a harmful way, right? So it doesn't even matter. It could be written communication. It's going to affect your interactions. And then what's going to happen is you and your vibe and your dark feelings, your negativity, that's going to hit your ex too. And that might then trigger your ex to continue treating you poorly or continue hurting you or continue acting in negative ways. And around and around and around we go, right? It's like this big, dark, black, negative feedback loop. Okay. And what's worse, and what you may not know and what you may not realize, is that you're taking that with you, that tension, that anger, that feeling that you have when you don't have forgiveness. You're really taking that with you everywhere you go. And it's just growing in you every time you repeat these stories, every time you go over it again and again in your mind, and you get yourself all worked up, right? You're taking it with you and it's growing, whether you know it or not. So even if you're in denial of this fact, I'm telling you it is, and I hope that you can trust me on this. And I'm going to get into why, just a little bit in the science behind it as well. But trust me that it is. You see, you've got with you, in you, around you, part of you, kind of like this energy field, your vibe, right? You've got this, and everywhere you go, it goes. There you go. There it is. What is it? I am, something like that. But it's there. So it goes with you to the grocery store. It goes with you when you're getting gas. It goes with you when you go out to eat. So there it is. It's with you. You're with the cashier. It's going to affect the cashier. The guy pumping gas next to you. Maybe it's the waitress. She just wasn't fast enough, right? So you are taking this sort of negative anger, frustration, tension. You're taking it with you. And when you take it with you out there into the world and you're affecting others, even though I realize you may not realize that, you know what's happening to them? They're taking it back with them. They're then taking it into their homes, their wives, their children's, their bosses, their coworkers, their neighbors, their friends. You see, in this way, this is just one component or one way that we're all connected. We are all connected energetically. We are all influencing each other, like it or not, admit it or not, agree, disagree, deny it. The reality is that it's true. And again, you might think that this sounds crazy, or, maybe you're already hip to a lot of these ideas and you probably know more than I do, but there's really a lot of science behind this. And you could just look up at HeartMath. HeartMath has done so much work in this area. And, I'm sure I'll botch it up a little bit, but I'm one of the things that they've discovered, and this has been proven scientifically, is that our heart gives off, electricity and this electromagnetic field. And this electromagnetic field expands, I think it's 3 feet in every direction of our body. Okay. And how we're feeling it's influencing and it becomes a part of this energetic electromagnetic field. So when you're going to your drop off, or when you're interacting with your kids, or you're going to court, you're taking this 3-foot field with you, right? So even when you're going to the grocery store, as I said, and of course the people you're interacting with, they have their own 3-foot field. All right. And you can feel theirs. Some people feel it stronger than others, but you can feel, or you can be influenced by theirs just as they can be influenced by you. Right? The most simplistic way to really look at this is their mood, right? It's not really a mood what I'm talking about. I think you can maybe think of it like that, but I think scientifically a mood is a belief or a thought you just continue to think over and over again, and it becomes part of who you are. So it's kind of like that. But my point is that you take your energy with you, and you are influencing others around you as they are also then influencing you, like it or not, whether you realize it or not. Another person who I just think is incredible, if you really want to get into some of the science behind this, is David Wilcock. He has this way of summarizing and digesting all sorts of scientific research, experiments, results, scandals, you name it. I swear he knows about it, and he can explain it in a way that just makes so much sense. So if you're interested in the science, or you think that what I'm saying just sounds a little woo-woo, go ahead and look up some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you find. Again, connect on Facebook, Divorce with Heart. I think it'd be great to really start more of a discussion around this, because I think the more we can raise awareness around this, then the more we will all start taking some responsibility for our energy field. We'll take it more seriously, I think, right? Anyhow, back to forgiveness. Forgiveness, like I said, it's a release, it's a relief, it's an antidote. It's also the key, right? It's the key to your kingdom, to that cell that's keeping your heart locked up. It opens the door to your future. And why I say that is because when you don't have forgiveness, basically you are all locked up. You're locked up inside of your emotions, your negativity, your hurt feelings, your pain. And the thing is you're in jail, but you're the jailer at the same time, because this is a choice, and you have the choice to find forgiveness if you want to, right? And just real quick too, when you don't have forgiveness, you start to approach life, or maybe it's just that person or any of your interactions with that person that wronged you, in sort of this guarded, locked up manner, right? And you're doing this most likely as a way of like a protection mechanism. But what you're not realizing at the same time is that when you're doing this to protect yourself, you're also blocking off all of the good, all of the good, all of the joy, all of the happiness, all of the things that may be there. You're not going to see it because you're approaching the person or the situation in, a certain way. And that's why I said in the beginning, when I try to go into my own stories, I try to take a different view, a higher view, a view outside of myself to see what was there. What did I miss? Because there's always good there. We just don't see it. And when we're all locked up into our hurt feelings and our negativity, it becomes harder to connect with people. It becomes harder to feel things like appreciation and compassion and caring. And what happens is we just keep feeling the negativity. So we just keep cultivating new experiences that are going to keep on producing negativity, right? It's this like self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, but it's all just sort of happening unconsciously on autopilot. So we need to step outside of that. I want to encourage you to step outside of that and ask yourself, where are you acting from? Because it's only with forgiveness that you can set yourself free, and have the life that you really want, right? A life where you're experiencing ease, where you're having good communication with your ex, where things are just falling into place. Maybe you're even feeling lucky, right? You're collaborating, your family's moving forward in a more harmonious way. And that's because you found forgiveness and you've released the pain from every fiber, cell, thread of your being and on every level. And when you do that, know that you are really taking a stand for yourself, because again, this is about you. This is about yourself. So you're taking a stand for yourself to be open, to be loving, and to trust again. It's all about you and your choices and what you want to experience. You see, because if you don't, you're keeping yourself locked up, closed up, and you're going to end up living your life behind walls, right? Guarding yourself because maybe you're too afraid to be hurt again. And that could be with the same person. It could be with other people. But if you can start to love and trust yourself again, which you can do after you find some forgiveness, then you're going to start to feel safer and more secure. You're going to feel safe to trust. You're going to feel safe to receive. You're going to know, or at least feel safer to trust your ex with your children when they go over there. You're going to feel safer to trust your ex with your babies for an overnight, or trust them on the plane, right? Or trust them in a busy amusement park. You're going to have all of this. All of this will open up to you, and you will feel more at peace. So I think what we're going to do is let's take a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll dive into some exercises and take your calls. So give a call if you would like to talk about forgiveness or you have anything else on your mind. Hey there, it's Gina. If you like what you hear, did you know that you can get even deeper and closer to your heart's wisdom and receive personal one-on-one guidance by working with me virtually? If you're sick of drowning in frustration and overwhelm and ready to flow through your divorce and co-parenting challenges, then go to my website and book a call with me. That's deprima.com, DEPRIMA law.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Deprima Law. Talk to you soon. Some of you have questions about your partnership, marriage, or co-parenting situation. I'm here for you. Give me a call in today's live episode by dialing the U.S. number 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277. Talk to you soon. Okay, thanks. So you can see, I think, when you're contemplating forgiveness in your life, how heartbreak and divorce really provides an excellent, excellent opportunity for you to start to develop this. And, you know, forgiveness is not something that I see as just important in this kind of a relationship with your ex, but it's something that's important to every aspect of life for you and really for all of us. And that's what I'm hoping that you can take away from this. All right. And again, it's a choice. It's a choice that you have. And it's about what kind of life you want to live. You can have a life where you're holding grudges and you're angry and, you know, and I'm sure you have very good reason to be angry. Okay. But the problem is where does that get you? I guarantee you that if you're holding on to this anger and you're taking these actions for revenge or punishment and things like that, you might be doing it because you think you're going to consciously hurt the other person, but you're really not. You're not. They are not lying in bed at night, upset, most likely, right, over what you did. You're hurting yourself 100% more than you can ever hurt the other person. So again, forgiveness is about yourself, because you can only have the greatest gifts of life when you start to trust yourself, and you can trust yourself, you can love again, but you need to start to develop forgiveness. So a great exercise, if you may know, is I'm a conscious uncoupling coach. And conscious uncoupling, it's Gwyneth Paltrow had coined the term. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's a wonderful book written by Catherine Woodward Thomas. If you have the book, the exercises that I'm going to talk about are actually from the book, around page 184, 185, and she talks a lot about forgiveness and how important it is. So I highly recommend that you get that if you're going to go through a breakup, a divorce, even if, you're not going to go through one, but you've been through one in the past. You can do this conscious uncoupling. It's a 5-step process at any time and really on any kind of relationship. All right. But we could talk more about that on another episode. So the one exercise that she recommends, and I know I've worked with a lot of people with this exercise and everybody finds it really helpful, is to sit and close your eyes and imagine the person that you want to forgive, and imagine them sitting there across from you, and imagine them to be happy and they're smiling, and then you say their name and you say it out loud. For example, maybe you say, Chris, I forgive you for everything you've ever said or done to me in thought, word, or deed that has caused me pain. And you are free and I am free. And you say your partner's name. Chris, I ask that you forgive me for anything that I have ever said or done to you in thought, word, or deed that has caused you any pain. And you are free and I am free. And then you thank God or whatever it is that you may believe in, universe, spirit, whatever it is, okay, this energy, you thank it for the opportunity to forgive your former partner, whoever it is. In my example, I said Chris, and to forgive myself. And when you do this, again, it's not a one and done. This is something you should do twice a day. Do it in the morning, do it in the evening, do it twice a day, close your eyes, envision them, and know that you're going into this with good intentions and good purpose, and really feel yourself asking your former partner for forgiveness, and asking that they forgive you and that you also forgive them. It's a two-way street. And I'm telling you what, you are going to be amazed at what happens if you really truly do this. You will be amazed because you will start to feel a different vibe when you interact with that person again. So again, do it twice a day. Do it for about 2 weeks. That's what Catherine recommends in her book. I think you can do it as often as you possibly can. And again, you are just going to be amazed at the results. And I saw that we had a caller, and I'm really sorry, Greg, if you called in. We must have lost you somehow, because I really apologize, but I don't see you on my screen to pick up the call. So if you want to call back, oh, my producer says that he can answer it. Okay, yeah. Answer it, because he's not on my screen. Hello?
Hi, Gina.
Greg, hi. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing
Great.
very well.
Thanks for calling. Good. Thanks for calling. You've done this exercise I was just talking about, right?
Yes, I have. I have done it, and it's powerful. And the reason I called is because I think there's another level beyond it that can help make it even more real that personally worked for me during my divorce. And and that is to go the next step. For me, I have a faith, and so I was able to use prayer, but someone can do it from the point of view of just wishing well. I actually found that my pain started to ease when I was praying for my ex's health and happiness.
Yes. That's beautiful.
And the reason that I went there is because you were talking about earlier, the kids really could feel the stress. And so I wanted to fully let go. And at the same time, I wanted her to let go because that would be what would be best for the kids. So if she was happy and healthy, then the kids would benefit from that as well.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
So that was
did
the
you
motivation.
see that? Did you see the fruits of that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I did. Absolutely. And like you said, it showed up in how I was showing up.
Yeah.
And so I was different around the kids, and I was different in my interactions with my ex. And so it created that space, which made it easier for everyone else as well.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Let me ask you this, if you don't mind, because I was just going to get into bringing it another step further too, and that is, doing a forgiveness exercise, as I just described, sort of energetically, spiritually. You brought in the spiritual aspect as well. And I believe that at a certain point, there's action that can really kind of cement things a little further too. Do you know what I mean? And that could be just a simple apology or just an acknowledgement of pain caused. Do you have any experience with that you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, I think actually you touched on it earlier when you talked about an act of generosity or two. Because taking the forgiveness to the next level and not showing up with bitter words or a glimpse or, to actually, like you said, be more accommodating. I mean, that's a very firm action. I mean, the kids, again, get put in the middle where one parent's time gets short or there's an activity that they want to go to with the other parent, and because it doesn't quite fit with the schedule in terms of whose turn it is, then feelings get hurt. So I think there are lots of opportunities for generosity, simple forms of generosity, or even a big form of generosity to show up. And that is action. That is showing up differently in the relationship. And like sometimes instead of meeting someone halfway, you take it on because there's a bind and you drive all the way and pick up the kids, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. I've got some families I've worked with where they were able to put the past behind them and the pain of affairs and actually drive across state lines to help their kids in that relationship with the other parent. So I know exactly what you mean. So important.
Yeah, well, that speaks to my situation because I was here in Jersey and a lot of the time my kids were in Missouri. So there was quite a few state lines involved.
Yep. So you've done it. Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in and sharing with us. Yeah, I really appreciate that, Greg.
I have one more thought to help with forgiveness.
Sure.
And then is to look at what the learning is. Look at how the situation has changed because there was something that I needed to learn. And if that becomes clear, then in addition to forgiveness, again, you can get beyond forgiveness into gratitude. That you can get to a place, well, this had to happen for certain learning to occur. And so that really helps also ease the pain of anger and frustration, moving through forgiveness into gratitude. That was a big thing for me.
Yes, I love that. Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much for sharing that. That gives me another idea for gratitude in another show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your show.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Aw, that was so sweet. I'm so glad that he shared that with us. And again, I mean, just please give us a call. Give me a call. If you're not comfortable speaking on air, that's fine. Feel free to private message me if you have a question or an experience you'd like to share. I really would love to hear from you and to just start creating a community around this. Because that's how we're going to change. And that's how we're going to change families, right? And have something more positive. So another exercise, and you may have heard of this one, and I'll probably botch up how to say it because I always have a tough time pronouncing this, but it's the Ho'oponopono practice. So, and this is ancient, and this is also so helpful. And what it is you identify what is disturbing you. It could be a person, it could be a memory, something that, you've got circulating in you. Take the idea, and this jumps off of what Greg was just getting to for just a minute, that maybe there's another reason for it, right? Another reason, a reason you didn't see it first, a greater reason, something for your benefit. Just consider that as a possibility. And then you repeat this prayer. And you can do this on yourself. I highly recommend it. And the prayer is, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And you can even do that and incorporate some energy medicine techniques by just putting your hand over your center of your body, your heart chakra, and kind of churning that space in a clockwise motion, and just keep repeating that with the intention of forgiveness and of seeing the situation from a different, higher perspective. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and thank you. So those are two real simple exercises you can do. We're running out of time. I can't get into any more, but if you would like to continue the conversation again, hit me up on Facebook at Divorce with Heart. I'd be happy to post some additional exercises, or if you have some favorites of your own, please share them as well. That'd be great. And I'd also want to just ask you for a favor before we close today's show, since this is new and we're new on the Inflow radio station. If you subscribe to iTunes or have access to iTunes and you like what you hear, it's resonating with you, it would just mean the world to me if you could go on iTunes and give the show a rating, a star rating, a review, because when you do that, the more people that review it, iTunes will notice us and put it on as a new or featured episode, and then more people will see it. So that would be great, because that's the goal, right? So if you could, I would just be so forever grateful if you could do that. And again, feel free to email me if you'd like, if you have a question or you want some real specific guidance. You might look into it, maybe energetically or empathically. I'm more than happy to do that. Just please use Divorce with Heart in the subject line so I don't get it lost in the sea of my emails. And it's Gina Marie at dprimalaw.com. Or, of course, go to Facebook. And have a beautiful week. We'll talk again next Monday. Thank you so much for joining me today. Come back next week and be sure to visit my website at dpremalaw.com to book a call, or let's connect on Facebook at dpremalaw, where you can join my group for more support. Please remember that the information shared is for general and entertainment purposes only, and that by calling in or messaging me, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship, and my advice is not intended to be legal advice. For specific legal advice, please contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction.
This show is brought to you by inflowradio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.